everyone. Welcome back to ClevverTV's brand new Breaking Dawn Book Club. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 2. I'm Joslyn Davis with my girl, Dana Ward.
Hey guys.
And today, as we promised you, we are bringing you some of the biggest experts from Hollywood as well as on Breaking Dawn. We've got our very own Bridget Daly from Clever Music.
Hi guys.
Self-described Twihard.
Of course.
Perhaps.
You know.
Yes. And then also joining us for this wedding episode, which we're going to be discussing the wedding and all of the details surrounding it, we have our own friend, a man who knows a thing or two about style. It's Matthew Hoffman. You've seen him on TV Guide, as well as tons of other television shows.
Cops, To Catch a Predator. Extensive resume.
He jokes. So Matthew, are you ready to delve into Breaking Dawn?
I am, and I have to almost come clean in a way to the fans, because I have definitely said publicly that I have no time for any series like this, anything with wizards or owls or sorcery. And sadly, my professional and personal life has slowed down. And I have picked up the book, and it's really enjoyable. And
did you actually open the book, or did you just pick it up?
I'm not used to staring at something that long without a reflective surface, but it's enjoyable. I really, really like it. I'm on almost to chapter 5. I'm on chapter 4 now, and I think it's kind of interesting. They haven't introduced who Dawn is yet, and I think it's a little severe to break her. I think perhaps we could warn her.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Well, I'm glad that we made a fan out of you.
I'm halfway there. It's,
fanboy.
I like it.
Fanboy. We'll get you a T-shirt at the end of the shoot.
I look forward to that.
So let's go ahead and jump in to chapter 3. Like I said at the beginning, this is really about the wedding and everything that's surrounding that. We start things out with Bella. She's getting primped by her future sister-in-law, Alice. And we're hearing that this wedding is going to be very traditional, which is really, really silly because this is like anything but traditional, and Bella's quick to point that out.
Right.
So what are your guys' opinions on very traditional weddings? A go, a do, a not do? What do you guys think?
Well, it just kind of depends on the person. I think that, some people like to keep traditions in the family. Maybe that means wearing your mother's wedding dress or something that's handed down through the family. Having your father walk you down the aisle. All those things you think of when you think of a traditional wedding. Obviously, Bella and Edward are in a very different state.
Yeah.
But necessarily not all the guests know what's going on.
That's
so
very
why
true.
not paint the picture of let the girl have her beautiful wedding?
Something I want to ask you actually, Matthew, is that a lot of things about this wedding and the honeymoon, actually everything for Bella, who is the bride, is a surprise. I mean, I don't know about you guys watching, but I would want to know what's going on with my own wedding.
Here's the deal. I think, anybody who I have ever dated, if they call me back, that is a surprise, let alone planning a wedding, let alone a honeymoon or an outfit, anything like that. So I think that kind of also goes onto the traditional format. Who's to say what is traditional, I mean, especially with something like a wedding, it's a big day, and most of the time involves a person's religion, so anything like that has its own traditions, and then depending on where you're from, also, if you're in a, third world countries, the bridal party are goats, that's a tradition, and then,
hey, who knows?
My family, they bicker all day, and then there's the one creepy uncle at the buffet for way too long, that's a tradition. And then,
exactly.
Gaga wants to marry the night, that's her tradition, it all depends on who I think you are and where you come from and what is traditional to you.
So basically, there are no traditions out there.
I think just
people
go
make
with
their
it.
own.
I mean,
Yeah.
And when it comes to Bella, obviously she wasn't gung-ho wedding. She wanted to marry Edward, but she wasn't all about the actual ceremony.
True.
And so Alice, this is her dream. So she's planning all these things, getting everything ready. Even Rosalie steps in. I think it's cool.
Which is perfect. You brought up what we're going to get to next, which is Rosalie, her other future sister-in-law, who she allows to do her hair, even though they kind of have beef. They don't get along. And she always has thought, Rose doesn't like her, but then she lets her do her hair for her wedding. Would you guys do that? Someone who you thought?
Of course!
No, of course!
You would?
No.
You guys, these are vampires. They were going to spend eternity together. Like,
that's fine, but you don't want to spend eternity in a scrunchie because your sister-in-law's like pissed at you.
I'd be pretty scared.
Yeah, no.
I think that
you know that Alice would not have let Bella walk down the aisle looking weird with a scrunchie.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You know scrunchie's allowed.
And Bella knew that, and that's why I think she kind of like let her guard down and was like, wow, this is Rosalie opening up to me. I'm going to let this happen.
Imagine if she put like a bump it.
Oh, man, this kind of brings us back to something that we did discuss last week, which was the idea of for your wedding, you know, there are some people that you feel obligated to invite, maybe because they're friends with your parents or whatever. But do you really invite people that either you think are going to fight with each other or that don't like you?
Ooh.
Or who might kill everyone.
Or that.
True.
It depends on their financial status, because if you're registered and like it's like an ice bucket or like a new car, and the person that you like kind of hate like could like get the new car and say front row and center.
Oh, and here's the other thing about weddings, that like when you're a bride, everything's hidden from you for the entire day. So any kind of drama, any kind of nonsense that's going on with the family, bickering, fighting, you don't know about it. Everybody keeps it from you. It's like the day of living in heaven for the bride. So you know what? Invite whoever you want, the more the merrier. The bride's never gonna know about it.
And this was definitely a merry wedding, of course. The dress has been a huge thing with the wedding, and I know in the book they talk a lot about the entire theme of the wedding being inspired by the 1800s, which is pretty hilarious because Edward is from the 1800s. Matthew, what are your thoughts on the dress? I know there's been like this huge cloak of secrecy surrounding the movie.
Yeah, nobody knows what it looks like. There's nothing out there yet.
Yeah.
I think just to touch on quickly the 1800s thing.
Please.
She has to be careful, because if we can all remember, Anna Nicole Smith married someone from the 1800s and didn't go so hot. So I think on that front, she kind of has to like baby steps.
Exactly.
As far as the dress, I think we do know that it is, for the movie, it's Carolina Herrera, which you can't go wrong. I mean, it is like, it's as classic. I think it's more timeless than any Vera or Monique Lynn. I mean, it is just straightforward, elegant. So I think on that, I don't think there will be much surprise. I don't think it's going to be a controversial dress, because most of Herrera's designs are kind of
timeless.
Yeah, very much
and safe. So I think that's cool. I think it is interesting that this is like the most secretive wedding, I mean, ever.
Cool. It's like we're all her husbands. Like, we don't know the dress.
Yeah. And then also in the book, you know, there's a lot of talk about just the wedding, the way that it looks, that she can smell it before she sees it because there are so many flowers. And I actually want to read a quick excerpt, I hope you guys don't mind. So this is in Bella's voice, of course. As soon as my feet were past the treacherous stairs, I was looking for him, Edward. For a brief second, I was distracted by the profusion of white blossoms that hung in garlands from everything in the room that wasn't alive, dripping with long lines of white gossamer ribbons. Oh my God.
So descriptive.
Wow.
Charlotte Bronte all over again.
I know. So I'm super excited to see, you know, what this is going to look like when it's played out.
I'm super excited to look up the word gossamer.
So then we see the wedding, obviously the vows. She sees Edward, everything else disappears. It's ridiculously romantic. They have this long, semi-inappropriate kiss, or at least some people are almost like laughing.
Oh yeah, people are like, excuse me, we're here too.
Hi, thank you so much. And then in another funny twist, instead of saying "till death do us part," they say "as long as we both shall live." What do you guys think about the vow change?
I like that in
I
general.
like it. I like it better. I think, like, I always think that's so weird at weddings. I'm like, oh, that is gonna suck when you guys die.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like cryptic.
Okay, so now we're coming to chapter 4, which is called Gesture. They're at the reception, which the whole theme is called Twilight Over the River. I love the use of the word Twilight.
Finally, yeah.
And of course,
Better late than early.
Yeah, it's super romantic, tons of dancing. Bella's forced to dance with all these different people, as well as Edward. It's gorgeous and fabulous. And then, the surprise of the century, Jacob, who has been in his wolf form, running about the woods, decides to come back into his human form and show up. I mean, he was invited to the wedding, but he never RSVP'd, so he is sort of crashing.
Rude.
Very rude.
Really rude.
But he shows up And it's like this really bittersweet moment, and Bella starts crying out of happiness. What do you guys make of this whole thing? Like, Edward gives them some time to be together, but if you had just married this girl and then she's like crying out of happiness for another person being there, what is that? What?
Yeah.
It's such a strange situation with them. I mean, it's like she wants her cake and wants to eat it too, but it's like when it comes to this weird love triangle, you can't help but like feel for her. Like, of course she wants her best friend there. I mean, she's sort of
kind of like a rhombus now. It's not even like a love triangle. It's kind of like they're like, parallel.
You and you.
It's not like that. It's like that.
It's sort of getting bigger.
It's getting bigger.
I think the bigger question is here, would you want to support a friend? Say you're in Jacob's shoes. Would you go to someone's wedding that was your friend but that you were in love with to support them?
I don't even think it's being supportive. I think there's just
That's
still
torture to
something
yourself.
there.
Yeah, it's like
and
if you're a masochist.
And I think
like,
it's kind of selfish.
You do.
Yeah.
But she wants him there.
But he wants to be there, I feel like. I feel like he wants to be there. I think he wants to see her.
He did it in the right way, though.
There's one last glimmer of hope that he can get her to stop
So you think that he went under the assumption that maybe she would like stop the wedding off and like, is that what you're saying?
Maybe, but he was obviously too late.
Yeah, he was a little too late for that. That's why I think he did it in the right way. He came, he just like hid in the bushes, was like, hey, I'm here, what's up? Do you want to come over real quick? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, I just think it's a little too intense. I don't think I could do something like that.
It is intense.
He just wanted to catch the garter.
In real life,
not
gonna work.
Garter.
The toss garter.
Yeah, the garter, yeah.
The garter toss. And I actually headed to Twitter because this is a really interactive thing with all of our viewers who are members of the Breaking Dawn Book Club to kind of get their feedback about a few of the questions that we had in regards to these two chapters. So I tweeted out asking our viewers, you know, what they thought about inviting someone who was in love with you to, you know, your wedding. We got a lot of mixed answers. I'm going to toss a few out. @BlessingsA said, this would be really awkward, especially since you know that they will not return the same feeling, so I'm going to have to say no. But then on the flip, @_ohmylord_ says, yes, I would love to have a bunch of people in love with me on my wedding day. My self-esteem would explode.
All right, I like it.
Go, girl.
I kind of like that. And then we had someone else, one of our friends over on Facebook, Erica DeValos, say, no, but if he was a friend before I met my husband, it kind of makes it different, don't you think? So maybe that's the market.
Do you think, though, it's a question for the groom?
Yes, I think that's a great thing to bring up.
I think if you're in a mature place and if you're both kind of on the same level, you could kind of throw that and put it in the guys.
Yeah, and then expect a really angry bride.
Yeah. I know. So just to wrap this episode of the Breaking Dawn Book Club out, we're going to each list what our favorite thing to discuss was, and we want you guys to hit the comment section here and kind of let us know what you think about all of these or just one. So Bridge, what stood out to you?
What stood out to me was Rosalie's decision to finally help Bella and, you know, come to terms with the fact that she is marrying her brother. And I thought it was a really sweet gesture, and I think it really helped Bella in preparation for going down the aisle.
Dana?
I think in this discussion, you guys definitely opened my eyes as to, you know, Jake coming back. Was it selfish? Was he hurting himself? Why did he do it? So I'm going to actually leave this book club. I'm going to have to go think about it a little bit more.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you, Matthew?
You're welcome. I'm going to kind of copy Bridget's answer. I think it's really cool that Rosalie, like, buried the hatchet and picked up the tresemme, and I think it's nice.
Ooh la la.
I hope it's not a scrunchie.
Not a scrunchie.
Thank the Lord.
And I'm going to leave you guys with a true or false, just to kind of mix things up. I want to know, as we wrap out these chapters, true or false, can this pair have a normal honeymoon? The question is out there. Let us know, and of course, comment on everything that we have discussed. And we're going to be keeping you guys posted leading up to the big Breaking Dawn premiere, which is in November. Matthew, thank you so much for stopping by. What's your Twitter? I want people to be able to follow
Twitter,
you.
follow me at Matthew Hoffman1.
Awesome.
The number one.
The number one.
Just as he is. Thank you for coming. And of course, Bridget, thanks for coming on over from Clever Music.
You're welcome. It was a long walk.
It was a very long walk. And from Dana and myself, thank you so much for watching ClevverTV's Breaking Dawn Book Club. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of the Breaking Dawn Book Club. We have some great news for you guys. We're actually giving away 5 copies of the Twilight Saga Eclipse All you have to do is watch this video on YouTube, hit the like, and then leave a comment. It's that simple. And of course, if you want to join in the discussion, you can tweet us over at ClevverTV using the hashtag BDBC. See you guys next time.